Pelly's crying game. That's the focus of tonight's angle. All right, most 20-somethings starting their first jobs know that there is no such thing as an indispensable employee. But when you're as supercilious as former CBS anchor Scott Pelley, you think you're untouchable.
Really didn't occur to you that you could be fired after so many of your colleagues had been let go, after you'd had this, very contentious interaction with your new boss?
You know, some reporter I turned out to be. I just didn't connect the dots.
A moment of clarity. Well, isn't the ability to connect the dots kind of one of the primary traits of being a good journalist? Well, let me help him understand this. When you have a boss, when you work for a corporation, it's their rules. If you consistently lose the company money, like late night Stephen Colbert, or if you rail against your bosses in meetings like Pelley did, you should expect to pack up your office. But like so many out-of-touch figures from the old media landscape, Pelley was so full of himself that he thought he could do anything. In his termination letter to Pelley, 60 Minutes EP Nick Bilton recounted how at his first staff meeting, the haughty Mr. Pelley hijacked it to then go on to disparage him, which showed remarkable incivility and contempt. Yet somehow, this vaunted journalist thought he was such a national treasure he could behave that way and still have lifetime job security. He also forgot he doesn't own the network, so staffing is not his decision. CBS canned two of his top producers.
Explain to me exactly how you felt.
Shock, dismay, impossible to believe, searching desperately for an explanation, knowing that an explanation would be forthcoming and then not seeing that. No executive at CBS News, our editor-in-chief, Barry Weiss, coming over to 60 Minutes to explain, to talk with us, to sit with us.
To sit with him? Newsflash, CBS gets to decide who works there. If Pelley wanted to run the network, then he should have applied for the job. Talk about disconnected from the real world.
I can hear how much this has hurt you.
Yes, it's like your spouse being murdered. And I don't care about me. It's not about me. The people I leave behind, treated in this way, that breaks my heart.
Now he knows how the employees felt when they had their jobs offshored to Asia 20 years ago. Look, the dude missed his calling, that acting ability. He could have had a career at a different CBS mainstay as a soap star, maybe the old Guiding Light. Before President Trump called out the fake news that they were used to be operating with impunity, and they never forgave Donald Trump for the fake news nickname.
He also said you were part of this gang of stupid, crooked people that don't care about your country.
Don't care about the country? I've never worn the uniform. But I've been in combat for this country, in Afghanistan and Iraq, Kuwait, been shot at, spent nights in foxholes filling up with water in the desert. There is no democracy without journalism.
Wait. Did he say he was in combat for this country? Wow. Well, I wasn't in foxholes, and that sounds like it was pretty hairy for him, but I was in some dangerous parts of Iraq 21 years ago, and I learned a lot. But my goodness, I didn't know being in a war zone in the company of soldiers was the equivalent of being in combat for this country. Now, I myself had a short stint at CBS News as a commentator in the late 80s and overlapped with Pelley when he was White House correspondent. Now, just a few comments in the hallway, nothing big. He may not remember me. I was just a little peon, but I remember him. He was, simply put, a snob. The aura he put out was that he was above the rest of us. Not what I expected from a man born in San Antonio, because Texas, of his vintage especially, they tend to be more clued in about how real Americans think. which is what the new CBS News president, Barry Weiss, is trying to tap into.
She, I am told, said something to the effect of, why do you think the country thinks you're biased? But she didn't offer any kind of a metric. You know, what's your metric? Why do you think so? Do you have a poll? Is there market research? What are you talking about? Because we certainly didn't believe that.
Of course you didn't believe that, but we don't need market research, Scott. We have your clips.
Is it appropriate to ask whether the president is having difficulty with rationality? The president can't seem to get out of his own way because of his penchant for falsehoods. It's too soon to tell how serious President Trump is in defiance of the Constitution.
Ugh. His coverage of Trump has been nothing short of appalling.
Was Mr. Trump acting on behalf of the Russian government?
That I was speaking to the man who had just run for the presidency and won the election for the presidency, and who might have done so with the aid of the government of Russia.
Are you saying that the president is in league with the Russians?
I'm saying that the FBI had reason to investigate that.
Now, was Pelley pushing back against asking challenging follow-ups, or was he simply boosting the FBI's preferred narrative there? Well, obviously, to any casual observer, it was the latter. And look, the public's trust in every institution has cratered, and journalism is at the bottom of the heap. And instead of trying to understand why the public feels this way, Pelley prefers to play the victim.
Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America.
In America. Hand the man an Oscar. That's a performance. Now, the fear to speak? That's what he was telling the poor Wake Forest graduates to criticize. The government? What is this man talking about? He was literally claiming that the First Amendment was under threat as he was publicly criticizing the government. But the truth is, the big TV networks began to decline decades ago as soon as the public was given more choices. Remember, Fox launched back in 1996. And for decades now, primetime Fox has dominated the ratings. So instead of learning, CBS only became more dug in and, frankly, more irrelevant. And now Barry Weiss and Paramount are trying to turn things around, which is a heavy lift, because the bias perception is based on years of CBS programming, which has reflexively been liberal and often condescending to traditional Americans. But it would have been a heck of a lot heavier lift with Pelley hanging around, griping about the network's new priorities. His 60 Minutes should have been up years ago. And that's the angle.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.